Yeah, DaceCoin sucks, dude. I do not want to invest in fucking DaceCoin. It's worth nothing.
All it is just Dace's face on a coin. That's it. There's nothing else to it.
He bought a bunch of pogs and just put stickers of his head on it and called it DaceCoin. That's not how this works, dude. It's time to turn 30, everyone.
I'm turning 30.
I love this little ditty you brought in for us here.
That was Bo Burnham.
Oh, yeah, sure enough. I'm out of touch because I'm 30. You'll know it too soon, David. Next year, you won't know who Bo Burnham is anymore.
Yeah, I watched that special probably like a couple weeks ago. Maybe like a month ago, and was like just right when I was like, oh man, my birthday's coming up. And I was just like, that song took me to a different place.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. I was like, wow, never related more to a song. Wow. Honestly.
It was topical and timely. I am excited that we finally get to sort of like step into the, the cishet 30-year-old white guy podcaster shoes that are here before us. Just couldn't be any more uninteresting to the general populace. But
fill in the shoes of giants who came before us.
Just a bunch of
Joe
dickheads.
Rogan, Bill Simmons, Guy Raz.
Although the GOAT, Ira Glass. I'm okay with taking after Ira. The rest of them dipshits, I'm a little bit more worried about.
Yeah.
Although Guy Raz is chill. He's not that bad.
Guy Raz is good. Anybody on NPR.
I was about to say, yeah, really
I'm
anybody
okay.
on NPR is chilling.
Okay.
We even take you, what's the dude who hosts Planet Money?
There's a couple different hosts.
Kai Ryssdal?
Kai Ryssdal?
Kai Ryssdal?
Kai Ryssdal?
I have no idea.
You don't like him?
No, I'm good with him, but he's got, like, he borders on not being appropriate for NPR. He's got a little bit too much charm to him.
Oh. He's too charming. So it says here on your resume that you got fired from your last job. What exactly happened? Can you explain that to me? Like, I was too charming.
Slightly too charming.
Rachel Martin, Audie Cornish, Steve Inskeep, Terry Gross, Scott Simon, Robert Siegel, Renee Montagne, Melissa Block, Nita Totenberg,
God,
Bob
dude, these
Edwards.
names.
I know. Elisa Chang, Guy Raz, Peter Sagal, Michelle Norris.
Oh God, I think it's Marketplace. Kai Ryssdal. Yes, it was Kai Ryssdal.
Kai Ryssdal?
Kai Ryssdal. Yeah, Kai Ryssdal's got some spunk to him.
Now I gotta see. He looks charming. Maybe a little too charming for NPR.
I really hope people who listen to this show also listen to NPR, David. And I know that's not the case. I suspect some of the international listeners, namely from New Zealand and Australia, will not enjoy hearing about American public radio newscasters.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Why?
Sorry,
Why?
everyone.
This is good stuff. Chase, this is quality entertainment. All right?
Hello, it's Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase, and Kai Ryssdal has some spunk.
Yeah, Kai Ryssdal is definitely a spunky man, but I've always kind of been a Peter Sagal man myself.
Ooh, the classics. What's your name?
I'm David. I'm a Peter Sagal fan.
Yeah.
I just love the witty banter of Wait, Don't Tell Me on the weekends.
Yeah, that's pretty unbeatable, I will say.
It's pretty good.
I know it's not for everybody, but man, a good Wait, Don't Tell Me really sets my Sunday right, David.
I just love topical news-based trivia shows.
Oh, God. I think we just turned 30, collectively. You and I both. We just went on for 5 minutes, unironically
I came 2 days
NPR.
early. My birthday came 2 days early. I sped it up by talking about my favorite NPR host and show.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll put a nail in the coffin of my youth quite firmly. That guy is gorilla glued in there now.
Yep, unfortunately enough. Hey, have you been playing video games?
I have been.
Could you tell me about those?
Yeah, I've been playing the NPR role-playing game. I'm just kidding.
Wait, don't tell me VR, the VR experience.
Ooh. It's just VR trivia.
You're in the audience. You actually don't participate. This American Strife.
This American Strife. This American Cloud Strife.
Ooh. Do you think Ira Glass would ever consider playing Cloud Strife in Final Fantasy Remake Part 2?
No, because Ira Glass is Sephiroth for sure. For sure he is Sephiroth. He's got an edge to him. Ira?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's got an edge.
This week, we talk about how my mother is actually a extraplanetary monster. I am going to collect the Chaos Stones, I think is what they're called in this video game, and destroy the Earth. But first, I need to awaken Weapon from its underground slumber.
Is that really what it is?
He does awaken Weapon, the big, like, kaiju that comes out at the end of...
It's just called Weapon?
It's called Weapon, yeah.
I've never played this. I've never played Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I did. What was this, like last year? I may have talked about this. Yeah, it's a wild ride. That like the first couple hours in Final Fantasy VII, like of the OG, it's pretty much just what's it called the city
Midgar.
Thank you. And it like the rest of the game is kind of different than that. Like it's much more Final Fantasy after that.
Sure.
Midgar's very like post-apocalyptic, like kind of not steampunky, but there's a used future look to it.
And kind of steampunky, right?
A little bit, yeah. They're using Mako energy.
Yeah.
Mako. I think they say Mako in the new one. Yeah. I don't fucking know, dude. It's been a little while since I played it. David, tell me about the video games you played, man.
All right. So the old standby is Rocket League. Playing some Rocket League.
Yeah.
I've still been playing Monster Train. Haven't been playing as much Slay the Spire.
I mean, that makes sense. Like we were saying last week, like you're entering the world of deck building roguelikes, and I suspect Monster Train is probably an easier entrance into that genre.
It's just a tiny bit more engaging for me at the moment.
But for sure.
I'm curious to try Slay the Spire again. Still been playing Doom Eternal.
Yep.
Still looks good. Still fun to blast on people, but still the same issue with the first one, in that I just cannot play it for too long.
Yeah.
I just can't be in hell for that long. It just starts to like stress me out, and I get really existential scaries about it.
Oh, interesting. Really?
Yeah, it's weird. It has a strange effect on me. There's just something about the combination of the music and like just how like terse and cold the world is, and like all the characters are to you and about you.
Yeah.
And just all the blood and the gore everywhere. Yeah.
But what is the existential crisis that comes up?
Just like, it's just something about heaven and hell, and just, am I a good boy or a bad boy?
Sure. Yeah.
It just gets me thinking for some reason about that kind of stuff.
I think my godless upbringing was a little. It's much easier to play Doom for me.
And this is just my old Catholic guilt just rearing its head again. Just be like, hey, did you remember you're a piece of shit? Anyways.
Yeah.
So playing that.
Yeah.
That was good. And then the new game this week.
Yeah.
That I've been playing.
Yeah.
Call of Duty 4? Black Ops 4? Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
Okay, cool.
Black
this was this a PlayStation game? I forget.
This was a free PlayStation Plus game for the month of July.
Is this the Call of Duty that does not have a campaign? It's just the multiplayer?
There is no campaign.
Right.
There's zero campaign. I was very confused.
Yeah.
I uploaded it. All these big first-person shooters nowadays have the most confusing menus. The most confusing menus.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like such a fucking video game boomer trying to navigate these. I'm like, where am I? What does this even mean? What is Nuketown? What is Blackout? Like, what do all these even mean? I know zombies. I know multiplayer. But what does everything else mean? Theater? Yeah. What does that mean?
Sure.
I just feel confused and old.
Yeah.
And it made me feel sad a little bit.
So the UI I'm sure, of a shooting video game made you feel bad.
Some 16-year-old kid has no trouble getting through this, but for some reason my old man brain is just like, no, we're confused and scared now. Sorry.
Did you eventually play a match?
I eventually got into it. But once again, sensory overload. I didn't know what to do beforehand. I just like jumped in.
Yeah.
And they gave me all these characters. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have enough time to read and assess all these characters. So I just picked like the basic one, Ruin, I think as it is. Just to like machine gun and grapple hook. I was like, okay, let's go. And then I did okay. Once I figured out that all I had to do was just run around, and then when I see someone, just start shooting them first, and then I win.
Yeah, I was
good like first and second. So I'm like, okay, I still got it. I still got it. Once I get through the confusion of the menus, I can still hang with the kids. But it's surprisingly fun. I was actually having a good time with it. Especially after playing Battlefield 5 recently and just like not being engaged at all. Yeah, sure. I just thought the shooting mechanics were much more snappy and responsive. Felt good. I liked the little different powers that each character had. Definitely made it feel kind of like a Overwatch type situation. Yeah. So there's like an incentive to go back and start playing different characters. So I started off as Ruin, and then I played like the stealth ninja guy. Yeah. That one was fun because... Genji. Yeah, I played as Genji. So I started off as Soldier 76, and then I switched to Genji. But Genji's good because once you put out a smoke grenade, if someone saw you, you just go and you hide and you put out a smoke grenade, and you can see their outline in the smoke, but they can't see you. Oh, hell yeah. So I just like murked 3 dudes right in a row because they just came chasing after me. Yeah. But then I tried to use my special sword move, and I just got shot in the back real quick. So I don't know quite how to use that one. Very similar to what happens when I use Genji's ultimate in Overwatch. Yeah, you pull up the sword and everybody shoots you. Everybody shoots me, and I'm like, how do I do well with this character? I don't know. Sure. But it was fun. I'm probably gonna go back and play some more eventually. So yeah, definitely a good shooter. Yeah. And I'm curious to play the zombies. Did you download this one? I think I checked yes, I will take this, but I haven't downloaded it, no. I'd be interested to see if we could play zombies together online. Almost certainly. I'd be okay playing zombies with you. Oh, thank you. I think you're a gamer at my level. You will also be confused by the menus just as I. So yeah, just navigation on the same level. Issue. That's interesting. So I haven't been tracking Call of Duty as much as I did when I was 14 or whatever. I didn't know that they had swung so hard onto the Overwatch or Valorant or Apex or Rainbow Six Siege, where actually Rainbow Six is probably the closest thing because that's more realism, quote unquote, shooter compared to the rest of those. Yeah, I didn't know that they had based it around characters quite as much. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I think maybe, I don't know if it's just a Black Ops thing, and maybe the mainline Call of Duties are still just regular free-for-alls, make your loadout and just rank up. But I was pleasantly surprised by this because, all the characters seemed different. Powers were pretty cool. I really enjoyed the grapple. And I really enjoyed this little smoke grenade, so I'm curious to try the other ones. Sure. Graphics are quite nice. Yeah. I was definitely pleased with those. And yeah, this one was the first one that had Battle Royale, I think. So I'm curious to try that too. But that's once again my video game boomerism comes out, and I'm just kind of scared to try because I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't know. At least you don't have to build anything like in Fortnite. Yeah, it's pretty sick. That's pretty great. I shoot the people, right? It's interesting. Like I said, I'm just not quite as familiar with the mainline Call of Duty stuff anymore. After my pretty piss poor experience with Cold War or whatever it was, just felt so bad to play it. So I think we had kind of talked about this with the upcoming Battlefield release, and how when the game is hey, we're a video game for shooting, it feels a lot less bad than a campaign where it is specifically trying to be gritty and real and feels terrible. This is a historical reenactment of the atrocities that your country has committed in the past. Yeah, rather than it's Call of Duty. You're here to shoot. Yeah. So that sort of stuff feels a lot less bad to me. So yeah, that's better than the other ones. It's good. It's fun. There's definitely a reason these games are still as popular as they are. They wouldn't be played, I think, if they were just absolutely shitty games. And so it's still fun. It's still good. I in my experience, the skill floor has been a little bit higher. Sure. For Call of Duty, meaning you start out and you're definitely getting kills. It's not terribly difficult to get kills. Yeah. Whereas like you were saying in Battlefield, you can go a whole game without getting anything. Or like even interacting with somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you could just respawn and then get killed,
Shot.
Never seen anybody, never fire a shot, and that's just the whole game. The whole game for you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's. I think you can be very good at those like Call of Duties, but like the floor is just a little bit higher, which for somebody who kind of pops in and out of those series, it's much more enjoyable rather than like, let's see what's going on in Battlefield and then just getting rolled every time you pull up.
No, totally. It felt easy to kind of jump in and just go for it. Which is nice.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, that's all I've been playing. What have you been playing, Chase?
I have been playing some video games. I've been playing fewer video games this week, I will say. I've played a few, but unfortunately enough, my sort of dip into Pokemon Unite, I was sitting around and I was like, you know what I could really go for?
Dota?
Couple of games of Dota.
You're sucked back in.
I've been playing some Dota, unfortunately enough.
You relapse is what you mean.
Yes, I have fallen back into the rabbit hole. Again, it's not quite as bad as like when I was in college or something, and that's literally all I wanted to do. But it definitely has consumed some video game time. Again, it's a bummer because like I'll talk about the other games. Like I'll put a half an hour or an hour into like one of these other games. I'm like, good sizable gaming experience. I put a half an hour in or an hour into Dota, and I'm like, those two games were fine. I would like another, please. It's just a problem.
You get one potato chip as opposed to the whole bag.
Yes, it's hard to just have the one because they're so delicious and crunchy.
For 30, 40 minutes, right? Is that how long they are?
I strictly play the game mode Turbo, which is supposed to go very quickly, but they oftentimes end up being about a half an hour.
How long do they go if it's not Turbo?
Dude, Dota takes fucking forever. Sometimes, like, pretty, like, unremarkable kind of normal length match might go an hour. Like, that's a pretty regular amount of time. I've been in games that are, like, an hour and a half where, like, it just refuses to end. But, yeah, I try very hard to just play Turbo because, like, I can't live my life fucking, like, playing one game of Dota for, like, an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's
what if literally anything happens in my life and I need to like not play the game for a second?
Yeah, no, that is a commitment.
Seriously, like I need to like really not be doing something for a little while.
So what happens in Dota if someone rage quits?
It's a problem. Like that's a real issue. So usually what happens is if somebody disconnects, then the like game will be like, hey, this person just disconnected, and there's an option to pause. If you hit F9. Sometimes that'll happen and people will be very nice. Other times you will hit pause and then the other team will hit unpause immediately because that's an option they have too.
Oh, wow.
It'll just keep counting down. And I think your team only has like a handful of those before like you don't have any more pauses. There's a 5-minute counter that starts to count down after someone is disconnected. And at the end of those 5 minutes, they will be like essentially qualified as like they have left the game. At that point, the game is safe to quit. Like you won't be marked as like an abandoner if you quit at that point.
Sure.
But it doesn't count for anything. So if you're doing huge issue of trying to slog through the battle pass, like I am, of course, it's a ding boy fucking haven in there. Play the game good enough and you'll get cool hats.
Gotta get the sweet hats, baby.
Gotta get the hats. But the problem is if somebody abandons, then you will get no progress towards your hat completion. So, yeah, that honestly doesn't happen all that often anymore.
Sure.
I'm not sure why, like if they've just sifted through the people who quit very often and I'm not matched with them or what, but like I don't encounter that quite as much, and maybe it's just like Turbo or whatever. But one of the problems is like because the games go so long, people get like really discouraged if before like the 10-minute mark things are looking bad. People will oftentimes just quit because there's no option to forfeit like there is in League or Pokemon. You just have to deal with losing for the next half an hour.
Whoa.
And more problematically, if you quit and you do this over and over again, you're put into low priority matchmaking. Which is like the fucking dregs of matchmaking, David.
So it's all the quitters together?
It's a bunch of other dipshits who got put together. And to get out of low priority, you have to finish, I think, like 3 or 4 matches, something like that. It is hell, David.
Have you been there?
Oh my God, absolutely.
So you've been quitting in Dota before?
It's been a long time since I've been like actively quitting, but yes, absolutely. When I was playing like ranked a little bit more, it was more common because I'm like, I don't want to fucking be here.
Your nasty boy past
dude, it was a problem. It was a fucking problem. So yeah, I try as hard as I can to be a good boy in Dota. It's been like mostly fun so far. I like, because the game I think is not quite as like fever pitch popular as it was probably like 5 years ago. The pressure's just like off a little bit. I find the people on it are a little less toxic.
Sure. Still
not great. Still like a really harsh community, and every now and then you'll run into like just a real dipshit on there. But like, not in like I don't know how to play the game, but like I'm like purposefully trying to be the worst person in the room. And like,
who are these people?
I have no idea.
What is the purpose in your life? You're just like, I'm gonna go onto this video game and ruin someone's time.
I genuinely don't understand the mentality. I have been in like such bad moods playing video games, and really at no point have I been like, I think I should ruin this for everybody.
Yeah.
I think I should just like turn around and fuck this up for everybody else. I presume it is just like a deep dissatisfaction with where somebody is in at life. Like I have to assume that that's what's going on. And like, I've definitely been there, like plenty of like depressive and anxious episodes, but like, I don't know. I just assume that somebody's outlet must be, I'm going to go fuck this up for everybody.
Maybe they should be, if that happens a lot and they can tell that someone's doing that, like just ruining other people's time, they just like send them to a video game therapist.
Instead of connecting to Dota, you connect to like just another human. Zoom pops up like, hey dude, what's going on, man?
Hey,
what's happening here?
You want to talk a little bit?
We think you should.
Yeah.
Gabe has determined you lacking, and you need to talk to somebody.
Unless you finish a 30-minute session with me, you can't play again. Sorry.
Can you fucking imagine? That would be a pretty bold ass move. I would be into that.
I'd be okay with it.
Mandatory therapy.
I'd be super okay with it.
If you want to get back into Dota.
Okay with it.
Yeah.
If any game company for some reason is listening to this podcast and you're thinking about that idea, I will buy your game, even if I don't play it. I will just buy that to support that idea.
Mandatory therapy.
Mandatory court mandated therapy.
So yeah, Dota's been fun. I've also been playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Ooh.
This is the new Ace Attorney game that came out on Switch. And
is this just all of them?
I think there were 2 games that came out in Japan. Yeah, so my understanding, and I think Jason Schreier talked about this a little bit on Triple Click, that like there were 2 games from Japan that were like of this series, which is I don't know exactly the year, but it's probably like early 1900s, late 1800s.
Is when it's
timeline,
set.
Right? And like Japan is having this like confluence, I guess, with England. Like they're kind of merging ideas and stuff, and that's sort of where you enter into it.
Sure.
And then I haven't gotten to this part yet. The game is particularly long, but I think you just like travel to England and meet up with Herlock Sholmes is the name of the character.
Herlock Sholmes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, those 2 games that were like set in that era in Japan, they've merged into like one. Which I think I've heard is much better, because I think the first one ends on like quite a cliffhanger. Is really not a good place to stop the game.
So this isn't a Phoenix Wright game. But
no,
it's like,
it is not.
Is it the same type of? Is it the same company that made it, or is it?
Yes, it's very much like in the family of Ace Attorney games.
Okay, but it's not. It doesn't have Phoenix Wright.
It is not a Phoenix Wright game, and it is not set in like pretty much modern day like Phoenix Wright is. It is, like I was saying, there are a lot of common DNA between these 2 games, and I was like kind of surprised by that, but also delighted by it. It adheres a lot to the visual style of the first handful of Ace Attorney games. I guess for somebody who hasn't played these, Ace Attorney is at this point kind of a longer running series where you play as a courtroom attorney who is usually, I think, defending someone. Like somebody has usually been like wrongly accused of like something illicit, like usually murder or something like that.
I don't think you're usually the prosecution.
No, I think you're almost always the defender. And so you go through this court case, and it's essentially just a visual novel, at which point you have to like connect some dots of a case every now and then. You'll hear testimony from certain witnesses and stuff like that. Your job is to like press them for details and point out the inaccuracies and sort of the contradictions that come up in those conversations, whether that's just, saying, hey, that didn't make any sense, or presenting evidence that directly contradicts what they said, which is fun. Like it forces you to engage in a way that is different than the other visual novels that I've experienced, which are much more passive. The Ace Attorney games are very much like, we want you to figure it out. Like, it's usually not particularly hard until it isn't. In most of the Ace Attorney games, it's like, most of the time you're like, yeah, I kind of know where this is going. And then other times it's like, why? How would they ever make me make that connection?
Yeah.
In like what is supposed to happen here? But regardless, this one's been really, really good. Like I was saying, it adheres to like the visual style in a way that I wasn't expecting. In all of the other ones, the camera was like very fixed at a lot of points. Like you were either looking at Phoenix Wright, at the prosecution, at the judge, the witness, or from Phoenix Wright's perspective, looking at like the person who's to your right. Usually Mia was the name of the character in the first few. And this game does a lot of that too when you're in the courtroom. It's like very fixed. Character models are in 3D though, so it like has this kind of interesting like look to it.
Sure.
Because while the character models are in 3D, they're expecting to only be able to see them from certain angles. And so like the lighting looks weirdly good to me because it's all like kind of cell shaded. Like it's a little bit stylized. It's not just like photorealistic Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
And so I find like the visual style like really, really good, really charming, and like has the same over exaggerated animations and facial animations that they had in the other ones, where like somebody is really wearing their emotions on their sleeves, or like when one of the witnesses is being pressed too much, like, and they just start to come unhinged. Like that's really fun every time.
You're like, I'm getting them.
Yeah, exactly. And like their facial animation and the way that they like are standing and moving are part of that. And so I was a little bit worried, honestly, about how they would make that transition into 3D, but I think they did it really well.
Nice.
This game, the concept of the game is just like so fucking good too. Like it's so ridiculous to like gamify being like a defendant in a trial, and like not have that be so boring and like so by the books.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so much fun, and they've made it into this like experience that is cartoony and funny. The writing genuinely is like clever and interesting, to the point where you're both like, I don't really know what happened here. I'm interested to see what happens, but like everybody is such a character and like moves in such their own distinct ways that like it's just fun to kind of exist in the world and like see what goes on.
Nice.
So yeah, it's fucking good. Like I was kind of a latecomer to the Ace Attorney series in general. I think the first ones came out in kind of like the early 2000s, and then I got on board when was this, like 2010, 2011, so probably 10 years after they had been coming out. I had downloaded I think it was like a hacked 3DS chip or something like that, the little like cartridge that you can put an SD card in, and just play DS games. I had gotten one of those and like played through most of these games just like back to back to back. So yeah, it's like I was a little bit of a latecomer, but at the same time, like just it was very obvious why this game is beloved and why this series is beloved. Like it has so much going for it, and I know that it is like definitely a popular series and people like this, but I really, I wasn't into visual novels, and I still think that like I'm a pretty newcomer to that whole genre.
We're getting into it. We're getting into it together.
Slowly but surely. But it's like very obvious when you're playing it, like, oh, this is funny and interesting, and it like kind of carries you along in a good pace. And it's like sort of undisputable why it's interesting if you're like at all in for it. If you can kind of just buy into the theatrics of it, it's such a good time. So loving it so far. It is definitely a long game. I am what I think is still in like the intro. I've been playing it for hours, and I am still like in the first little part.
It's still showing you how to play the game.
A little bit, yeah. They're like every now and then they'll be like, and this is how this mechanic works. I'm like, dude, it is like 2 hours into this experience. I have not gotten to a part of the game where like investigate anything. That was a big part of the other Ace Attorneys, was like being able to investigate certain crime scenes. I haven't even done that yet. I've only been in this one intro trial.
Oh no. You're still in the intro. So
yeah, it's slow going, but not bad. Again, it's like, because it's so enjoyable, it's a fun time.
Yeah, nice.
The other game I've been playing is a game called Golf Story, David.
Whoa!
Yeah, baby.
You're back in golf? Did you already play that one?
I played about half of it.
Oh, you never beat it?
No, I didn't.
It does drag a little bit in the middle, but if you push through, it ends well, I think.
Yeah, that's what you were saying last week, which is what sort of like made me want to get back into it. I was playing this at the same time that I was playing Breath of the Wild, and so like I think Golf Story probably just took a little bit of a backseat to like one of the best video games ever.
Fair enough.
No shade on Golf Story, but I was a little distracted.
Yeah.
So for anybody who hasn't played Golf Story, it's like very much just like a golf RPG. It's like top-down golfing story. It's kind of right there on the tin. And you have like stats that you can upgrade over time. There's a bit of a story that plays out, and a lot of it's just like golf me is the way the story progresses. I'm good at golf, I swear, golf me.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like it's really interesting playing this game, as like this felt like at the time like, oh shit, like indie games are definitely a thing that can be done on the Switch, and they're done really well. It's very weird playing this after like having played so many indie games on the Switch.
Sure.
And like kind of coming back to it. It's definitely like very good still, but it's like I think the bar has just been raised over time for indie games. Like
it's a little aged at this point.
A little bit, yeah. And like it came out in like fucking 2017. Like it's been a minute, right? Like the indie scene has shifted over the course of like 4 years. So I certainly don't hold that against it. But it's immediate why it's fun. Just like, you know, you walk up to people and they're like, hey, I bet you couldn't hit that fucking switch over there with a golf hit. And like, you're like, yes, I can.
You know what it reminds me the most of? Is Legacy of Goku, but with golfing as the mechanics. That's what it always reminded me of.
Like they were able to gamify and RPGify like the fun part of the game to the point where like getting better feels really good.
Yeah.
Like doing a challenge gives you experience and money, and you're like, fuck yeah. Like I want to go do another one of those so I can get even better and do even cooler challenges. And like it sort of builds on itself.
Because it definitely has a skill that you have to like you gotta read the green, baby. You gotta read the green to hit a good shot. Doesn't mess around.
It definitely feels good to play the game. And I think they got that game feel really down. It like absolutely takes a lot from the Mario Golf RPG on Game Boy Advanced. Like there is a ton of common DNA there.
Sure.
Like for good reason. That game was phenomenal. So like I certainly don't hold it against them why they would use that as an influence, because like that isn't used very often. And so like why not just make a modern and updated version of that? Yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts on it other than like I'm gonna keep playing and it's very enjoyable. It really makes me want to play Sports Story. God damn it.
When's that come out?
They haven't really given a solid release date.
Okay.
They like posted an update during E3 like, hey, we're working on it. Here's the cool shit that we're doing. But no real like, this is when it comes out, or here's when you might expect some more info. It's just sort of like, here's what's up.
Are they doing all sports, or is it just like, I know they showed tennis, I think was like the teaser, but is it like, it's sports? It's not tennis story, it's sports story. So I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think they were doing quite a few. I think I saw football as well recently.
American or everyone else?
I don't know. We're going to find out, David. I saw football Americano.
Football Americano.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, Golf Story, good. The final game that I was been playing this week is this video game called Eldest Souls, David.
What?
This was also a surprise to me. I hadn't really heard of this before. This is a like top-down 2D Souls-like game, and it is as if they said, "Oops, all bosses" in the Souls game. So there's no like, just I know it's hard.
Oh God, they took the concept of Shadow of the Colossus and put it into Dark Souls style, huh?
A little bit, yeah. It's definitely leaning harder on the Soulsian influence than the Shadow of the Colossus influence, but yeah,
bosses,
that's
right.
Yeah, definitely hear the comparison there. It is definitely a roguelike. Or sorry, not a roguelike, a Souls-like.
Souls-like.
It has a lot. It takes a lot from that game, and like in a way that I think I'm enjoying. Like it's fun to sort of play through this because I like Dark Souls and I like sort of the atmosphere that they communicate there. But I could easily see somebody who like is maybe lukewarm on Dark Souls and just likes it because it's a phenomenal fucking video game to be like, I don't know if this is for me.
Sure.
Like the atmosphere is so Dark Souls, and like the level design, while like gorgeous and cool looking, is also very Dark Souls, just like cursed, blasted, almost medieval looking land.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit actually closer to Bloodborne in the way that the combat plays out, in that you are rewarded for being a little aggressive.
Sure.
One of the key moves in the game is this like charge hit that you can do. You like hold down a button and charge at the enemy and hit them, and it like starts up this like kind of, I don't know, like bloodlust, I guess. And whenever you hit somebody after you do that, you regain health. And so there's no like healing mechanic. It's like in the same way that like there's like an Estus flask in the Dark Souls games. It's just this way to recover health. And so you're encouraged to play a little bit more aggressively, in the same way that in Bloodborne, when you get hit, it's like, hey, you can get some more health if you go hit them right now. And so there's this kind of give and take and this risk reward. I am low on health, and therefore I may need to play a little bit more aggressively to regain some of it, or, you know, take my shots when I know that they're going to hit.
Yeah.
And so
think about it a little bit.
Yeah. And so it does create like a really cool sort of loop there. And I think the combat feels really good. Like it's very snappy and very fluid. And so I definitely like that part of it. I think I like the meta progression of Dark Souls, where like, you know, the skill checks are the bosses, right? Like that's the part of the game that is going to keep you from moving on to the next. Oftentimes the enemies will fuck you up, but like you'll get past that, right? Like more often than not, you're dying to the boss.
Yeah.
In a lot of those spots. Sometimes that's not the case, but yeah, regardless. And I kind of liked being able to say like, you know, I'm doing okay at this boss, but maybe if I got like a few more levels, I'd be able to take him better. Whereas this game is so just like, you got to beat him. You have everything you're going to get. You just got to beat him.
It's kind of like Sekiro in that way.
Yeah. I think the Sekiro comparison definitely makes sense, where the game is just like, you got to get better, my man. Like that's just
bro.
what it is. Yeah.
No grinding here.
No. And so like I could see if somebody was playing this, they might be like, holy shit, this is too much. So yeah, it's interesting. I like I said, I'm enjoying it, but I could easily see somebody sort of using this like derogatorily as like, ooh, this game takes way too much from Dark Souls. Like they're just leaning on Dark Souls.
Sure.
I don't think that's the case, because like you still really got to build the fucking video game. You still got to do it.
Yeah. You got to build that dodge roll in there.
Yeah. And you know, I think they're walking a path that's probably been tread before, but you still have to build the fucking game. And so I think, you know, while I get the argument that this game is maybe not as original as, I don't know, Death's Door or something like that, which is also kind of Soulsy.
Death Stranding.
As Death Stranding, fuck. Yeah, the very opposite, although kind of similar in the characterization of the world. Yeah, it's very much in a you know, familial relationship with Dark Souls.
So is this on PC?
I'm playing it on PC. I think it's on Switch as well.
Okay.
Probably on a handful of other platforms, but I just saw it on Steam. I was like, looks like my sort of thing, and played it.
Like my jam.
Yep. Anyway, David, this will all bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week. Yes?
I remembered a game I played.
What was a game you played?
It's a mobile game, but
it's counts. A mobile game. Okay. What game?
Nier Reincarnation.
Whoa, David. What the fuck? Why? I mean, like, it's Nier, but still.
It's Nier, and it's directed by Yoko Taro himself, and it has the same guy doing all the music.
Yeah, it's like weirdly a Nier game. And like, it's definitely Nier.
Yeah, and I just saw something on... Oh, I saw a headline on like the R Games subreddit, something like that said like Yoko Taro was like sad that he knew a lot of Americans weren't going to play it because he knows that there's a stigma against mobile games over there, but that he feels like it's a console level experience. So I was like, okay, Yoko Taro. Damn. Okay, Yoko.
Yeah.
It's interesting so far.
What is the mechanic of this video game? I know nothing about it.
So you wake up, you're like this little girl in what they call like the cage. It's like this giant labyrinth. This giant labyrinth place.
It's already so near.
And there's a little like ghost looking creature, like a ghost from like a Pac-Man looking thing. It's called Mama, and she gives you advice, and she's like concerned about you like only a mother could be.
Yeah, of course.
And you just kind of walk through this giant labyrinth with the ethereal Nier music in the background.
Of course.
And you walk up to like these statues that are holding different weapons, and you just like unlock history of the weapon, essentially. Like in Nier, when you would upgrade the weapon, you could like read a little blurb about this is what this weapon went.
Yeah.
But now instead of just like reading it, you're like playing through it a little bit.
Oh, cool.
So it just like shows you these little vignette stories stories. So it's like a third-person game, 3D, when you're the little girl, but then you go into these worlds and they're like 2D side-scrollers.
Yeah.
But then you jump into combat and it's like a 3D world, and you're just like, it kind of just is very on-rails combat. It just kind of does it for you. You can like tap different buttons to do different special attacks every now and then, but it's I haven't really been like challenged, and I don't really know where my health bar is, but it hasn't been an issue because I just always win. I try to dodge attacks because you can move around, but I don't think you can dodge attacks. You just have to like wait for them to hit you, even though you can move. But it's been interesting so far. I think it's fun. Questionable so far.
Yeah.
But it's at least an interesting experience, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is fun in the same way that Nier Automata was fun, but it's still a cool kind of ethereal Nier experience.
Yeah. Neurians.
Experience.
Yes, there it is. Experience.
This experience is quite delectable. I don't know what that was. I apologize to everybody who had to hear that with their ears. Anyways, that's my footnote to what I've been playing this week. I forgot about
your +1.
My +1.
Cool. Well, that will actually bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David. It is localization, David.
Oh. All right.
Localization is the process of translating a game's text from one language to the other.
Yeah.
As demonstrated by our Google Translate section in Good Games, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. And like, I suspect it's a little easier when, maybe we were going from like a Spanish origin to English, or going from, I don't know, French or something like that to English. We got a lot of common
languages. Yeah,
we got some understandings of like what one word tracks onto another language.
Yeah.
What that sort of looks like. But fuck, man. Like us in Japan just had to have a good games industry. That's a hard language to translate back and forth. Yeah,
they don't
things
quite,
are not easy.
Sometimes not quite compatible.
No, and like, because games were, I think, like, a little less invested in probably in like the 80s and 90s, games that were coming over were often translated in like sort of a haphazard way, or rushed, or, just were not given the sort of treatment that they can be. And so it's always really cool when you play a game that was not of English origin and it works, right? Like Ace Attorney is really impressive that it's funny. I feel like humor is so fucking hard to get from one language to another.
Hard to translate over.
Yeah, and like, not just even the words, like humor is hard to translate from like culture to culture. Yeah. Like that is not an easy thing to do.
So much has to do with like a turn of phrase, which does not translate well from one language to another.
Yeah, so like it's always incredibly impressive whenever I guess my experience has only been like playing a Japanese origin game and it like being really good in the English version. I have no idea how that process works in reverse. Like, I wonder if there's just a company who fucking shits the bed every time that they try and translate a game to Japanese. Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
I mean,
or anything like that.
What is it? The House of the Dead?
Yeah. Who knows, man? I mean, like, there's a lot of examples of it coming this way, right? Like,
your base
Japanese games.
Us.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of Japanese games coming to English that, like, obviously. But, like, I wonder if that just, like, if there are a bunch of American companies that are like, fuck it, we'll just, like, get whoever to do it. And it's just, like, so bad in Japanese.
How does Halo translate into Japanese?
Exactly, yeah. Is Master Chief just, like, a dipshit in Japanese? Like, it's just a total weirdo?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Me neither. So yeah, I'm always stoked when there's like good and well done localization. It's a joy to experience. Nice. David, is there something fueling your sense of Podtimism?
Sure week? Is.
What is it?
Castlevania.
Specifically the video game.
Yes. Specifically the video game that has created the sweet-ass Netflix animated show, Castlevania.
Ooh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I've been watching that recently. I had watched like one episode, I think with like you and Garen one time.
I think that's true, yeah.
And I was into it, but it combines two of my most feared forms of media, which is
what's that?
Video game media that's not a video game.
Yes.
And then also Western anime, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. It's a risky proposition.
So I was
both
like,
of those,
whenever it would like pop up on my Netflix recommendation, I'm like, do I really want to? And then finally whittled me down. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
Ooh, this show is good.
Good show. I was shocked at the quality of this television program.
I'm quite impressed. The animation is really good.
Very good. Yeah.
Great fight scenes. Interesting story. Good characters. So I'm all in. I'm all in. Just finished season 3.
I think something I push up against a lot is like pacing in different like media and shit like that. And I realized that that's like a very Western thing to complain about, because I think Western pacing in media is like so fucking fast, really is just moving at breakneck speed. But it is really, I guess comforting maybe is the right word, easier to experience anime from like a Western perspective, where like the story is kind of the center part of it. It's not to say one or the other is bad or good. It's just sort of what I'm used to at this point. And so it's kind of nice watching Castlevania and them just being like, here's the story and this is what it is. And we're going to like really start hitting major plot beats really quickly. There's just not a lot of filler. And like, I really appreciate that.
Like zero filler. It's all there for a reason. It's what AP English taught me.
Yeah, no, definitely. So it's a nice sort of change of pace in that way. Hell yeah. Love Castlevania.
Good show.
The show.
And the game.
And the game. Also good. Also spawned a lot of very good video games too. Do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Let's do it.
David, I have a secret segment.
Oh, 2 secret segments in a row. What?
2 secret segments in a row.
My goodness.
If you remember back around the end of October, there was a secret segment that David did for my birthday that was trivia about 1990 in video games.
Oh, shit. Oh, no.
The time has come, David, for trivia about 1991 in video games.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Let's hear it. I'm ready.
Okay. Let's play whatever musical stinger I have to indicate that it is now a quiz show. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Question 1. On February 14th, what video game was released that required the player to lead a group of mindless creatures through dangerous environments to escape into a portal?
Into a portal? Mindless creatures. Escaping
Drones.
Into a portal.
You might say. Yeah.
On Valentine's Day?
Sure enough, yeah. 1991.
February 14th,
I believe this was a PC game first.
Oh my gosh. Lemmings?
It is Lemmings, David. You got that one right.
There we go. Lemmings. Mindless creatures. That's where I got it.
Oh yeah.
That's where
absolutely.
I got it. That's where I got it. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking nail this. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling cocky now. Let's go. I can answer all your goddamn questions. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. Wow. That really boosted your confidence.
I'm not going to get any more right. That's the only one I'm getting.
I have some confidence in you. I don't think these are too bad. Question number 2. The titular Sega Genesis game, Sonic the Hedgehog, was released on June 23rd of 1991. Okay. For 2 points, David, name 2 of the 7 zones in Sonic the Hedgehog.
Green Hill Zone.
That is 1. You have 1 point.
That's the easy one.
That is the easy one.
Dr. Eggman Zone.
No, that is not a zone.
Damn it.
I will give you a few more guesses if you want to throw a few more out.
Okay. Underwater Factory Zone.
No. We this would be impossible to remember, but we did mention one of the zones last week when we played its theme song.
Oh no.
It's impossible.
The Desolate Desert Zone.
No, David. You've gotten 1 point from this question. The other zones are, of course, the Labyrinth Zone, the Marble Zone, the Scrap Brain Zone, the Sky Base Zone,
Base.
Well, the one we mentioned last time was the Starlight Zone.
Wow, special. I only really ever played the Green Hills Zone.
Me too.
The game is very
difficult.
I was a little kid. I love the Green Hill Zone though. That's a great one.
Absolutely. Oh, sure.
Sorry, that was my Green Hill Zone. Do I get an extra point for that?
I'll give you a half point for singing Green Hill Zone. Yes.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you got it. Which mainline Zelda game was released on November 1st of 1991?
91? A Link to the Past?
It was just A Link to the Past, David. You've done it. +1. +1.
I went plus ultra on that one.
You sure did. Question number 4. Which Mega Man game was released in Japan on December 6th of 1991?
Mega Man 2?
Mega Man 4, David.
4. Oh,
4.
God, I was way off. I was 100% off.
You were 2 whole Mega Mans off.
Yeah.
Good effort, though. Good effort.
I tried.
Let's see. Okay, so I am going to need you to name 2 of the top 10 most rented video games in 1991, according to Blockbuster Video.
Okay. How many guesses do I get?
Let's give you like 4.
Sounds fair. Yeah. A Link to the Past?
No. I know. Shocking.
Oh my God. Lemmings?
No.
Oh, fuck. God damn it.
A lot of them, total bummers. Total shit video games.
Shit games. Oh, no.
Yeah. There's a lot of good ones on here and like one like absolutely quintessential video game. But there's a lot of like, really? This is the most rented video game?
Essential? And it wasn't a Link to the Past?
It was not a Link to the Past. I think because... So this is taking into consideration games that have released before this point.
Yeah.
So it is just the most rented games in 1991.
And I gotta think
so
back to the 1990s. To the 1990 segment I did. Phantasy Star.
No.
Fuck. Oh my God. This is killing me. Pong.
No.
No?
Not Pong.
Damn it.
I will give you another guess, David, if you want to attempt another one. One of them is a Mario game. I will give you that.
Super Mario World?
No, David.
All right, just give me what these games are so I can cry.
I'll go up from number 10. So the 10th most rented video game is, of course, G.I. Joe, obviously.
Just straight up
Just
G.I. Joe. Fair.
Just G.I. Joe.
Fair.
Base Wars, easy. Baseball Stars.
Oh, of course. Who could forget?
RBI Baseball 2.
Oh, 2 baseball games already.
Yes. Family Feud.
Just the game.
Family Feud, the video game.
All right.
The Simpsons, Bart versus Space Mutants. It's 91, so Simpsons are big. Super Mario Bros. 3 was the Mario included
3.
here.
Oh.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game for home consoles. Battletoads.
Okay, sure.
Second most rented game. And of course, easily dominant, number 1 most rented game, Monopoly.
No shit. No shit, dude.
People didn't know what video games were yet. They're like, I like Monopoly as a board game. I guess I'll play that on the video game.
I'm going to rent this electronic board game. Isn't that going to be fun? My God. We're still figuring it out. We're still figuring it out.
Yeah, we didn't know. Question number 6, David.
Let's hear it.
What is the full title of the Metroid 2 video game that came out for Game Boy in 1991?
Oh, Metroid 2, The Return of Samus.
I'm going to give it to you. It's Samus Returns.
Oh, that's what I thought. Then I thought it was too short. Damn it.
No, man, we take those. It's your birthday. We take those.
I remember it was Returns was in there.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like you were on
All right.
there.
You can give me a half a point for that one because I didn't get the actual title. I will dock myself half a point.
Okay,
to
sure.
ensure the integrity of the competition.
So when all the future Davids come by and do the same quiz, they'll know that it was fair.
Hey, Loki vibes, right?
Question number 7. Nintendo Power's top 5 games of 1991 included Final Fantasy II, Battletoads, SimCity, Deja Vu, and Super Mario World. Give me, in order, their top 3.
Oh, fuck. Can I get those 5 again?
Yes, absolutely. So out of order, the games are Final Fantasy II, Battletoads, SimCity, Deja Vu, and Super Mario World.
SimCity?
SimCity.
Battletoads is number 1.
That is not the correct answer.
Fuck. Is it in the top 3?
No, Battletoads is not in the top 3.
Super Mario Brothers 3, number 1.
No, but it is in the top 3.
Okay, so that's in the top 3. Do I think I'm in order?
I was hoping you would give them an order, yeah.
Okay, so if Battletoads, as I said, is number 1, then I'll say Mario Brothers 3 is number 2.
It is number 2. That is correct. So now you've got number 3 and number 1 that you got to nail down.
So I have SimCity, Deja Vu, and Final Fantasy 2 to choose from?
That is correct.
What the fuck is Deja Vu?
I didn't know either.
Deja Vu is number 3.
Deja Vu is number 5, David.
Ah, damn it. Shit. Okay. Final Fantasy 2 is number 1.
Final Fantasy 2 is not number 1.
Number
but
3?
It is number 3. Final Fantasy 2 is number 3. SimCity is number 1.
I guess that's the orig, right?
Yeah,
it's trailblazer, right? It's a trailblazer.
Pretty surprising. Yeah, you got all 3 right, David. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well done.
Power of the birthday.
Done. Yeah. Okay. In 1991, GamePro put out an issue of its magazine subtitled Celebrity Video Gamers. Name one of them that appeared on the cover.
On the cover?
On the cover. There are many.
Oh, celebrity video game. Are we talking like A-list, B-list, C-list?
I would say that there is an A-list celebrity on the cover.
Whoa.
Yeah.
From 91?
From 91.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No. He is not. He does not appear on the cover. I will say most of them are children.
Mouseketeers we're talking about now, huh?
When you think 1991 child celebrity, who's at the top of their game?
Leo DeCaps?
No, Leo did not appear on this cover. 91.
91 child stars?
Yeah.
I wasn't alive.
Not shooting
Macaulay Culkin?
Macaulay Culkin is on the cover of this magazine, David.
Macaulay.
That is in addition to Fred Savage. And like just the most boyish picture I've ever seen of Fred Savage. Finally, David, number 9.
Okay.
Who is the bestest boy who was born in 1991?
Is it me? Is it David?
It's David.
It's David?
David is the correct answer. Yes, you got it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. You got David out of David points on this quiz. Congratulations.
Hey, I won. I got a full David.
Yeah.
I got a full David.
Happy birthday. Welcome to your 30s.
Thank you.
We are finally a podcast.
We are finally a real podcast. We're in our 30s. We're trying to relive our youths. We're doing a podcast. We're here.
Should we just stop? Should we stop now? Is this it? We'll just have to fully make the transition to an NPR podcast after this.
I mean, you've been
not the worst heel turn I've ever done.
Practicing your Ira Glass impersonation quite often, so I think you've almost got it.
Absolutely.
I just need to practice my Peter Sagal. Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Podtimism. That's my best I got right now.
I don't really know what Peter Sagal sounds like, so I believe you.
He's like loud and a little nasally.
Oh yeah, no, I heard the wait, don't tell me intro, so I hear you. Yeah, it's great. You did it.
Thank you.
Do you want to move on to our actual main thing, David?
Let's do it.
Great. Hey, it's Good Games. It is the segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. We want to celebrate these fucking video games.
Sure do.
We sort of mentioned this in the last one, in the Red Steel episode, that we were maybe going to do this game. It is, of course, 13.
13, or XIII, actually.
Yes, you will not find it by searching numerical 13 on the internet. Mm-hmm. Can I hit you with a few hot stats about 13?
Let's hear it.
Hot stats.
13 came out in North America November 18th of 2003 for PS2, Xbox, PC, and then a week later for some reason for GameCube. Don't know what caused that delay, but that's what Wiki said.
Why not?
It was made by Ubisoft Paris, which we mentioned in the Red Steel episode because they also made Red Steel. They also made Just Dance, the Ghost Recon series, and then the Mario and Rabbids game are what they've been doing recently.
Mario and 10 good games.
Yeah, not pretty good games, I'd say. So yeah, I do have a review written at the time by the royalty themselves, Joe Video. They reviewed 13 at the time, and I've taken their original review. I've tossed it into Google Translate through every language I could find and then spat it back out in English. And so I would like to read for you now what they had to say.
Let's hear it.
From Joe. But I do not share this joy. Hold on, before we get started. This one is like deeply poetic.
Oh, all right.
Like we've had some that are like the rhythm of them feels like poetry. This one really does it.
Let's do it.
I'll start over. But I do not share this joy. Unfortunately, it is the first artificial intelligence. To be honest, not the Who was a prudent man. For example, the rings can be quickly moved to annoying we did our modern times, and this cannot be a form of waiting for that, death, or madness. On the outside there, no distractions. We often see that he was larger, which makes this picture more and more complete than a traditional first-person Sagittarius. 85 out of 100
Was
from
the last word just A?
A, period. It was also lowercase. I don't know why that was the case. Yeah.
That's some avant-garde shit.
Evocative stuff. Like, it's less about the words they're saying, and I feel like kind of the way that it's being presented. Mm-hmm. The phrase, and this cannot be the form of waiting for that, death, or madness, is strong.
Huh?
There's a lot going on in there.
There really is.
You can really chew on that one.
Yeah, I could write an essay about that.
Yeah, what is Joe Video? To what degree is Joe Video encouraging the use of violence in the video game 13 through the sentence, and this cannot be the form of waiting for that, death, or madness?
I mean, whatever they're meaning, I believe it. I'm
buy whatever they're selling.
I'm buying what they're selling without even knowing what it is, just because of how good that review was. That was impressive.
David, can you tell me what this video game is?
Yeah, so it was cell shading was a big thing back during when this game came out, because people realized, hey, we can make a game look really good and stylized.
Yes. Without
having to like actually make like really dense graphical engines.
Yes.
So this was a cell shaded first-person stealth shooter or stealth adventure game. Because it wasn't just really like a shooter. It was like more going around, knocking people out. Well, not knocking people out, but like...
there was knocking people out. You would use like chairs and like cigarette...
That's right.
Trays? What is the word for the thing you put a cigarette out in?
Ashtray?
Ashtray, Jesus. You could use those to like knock people out in the places where you're trying not to kill people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like Hitman, but first-person cell shaded in a way.
Yeah.
You go through a level and there's, multiple ways to tackle it, and you just kind of go through and try to be a sneaky assassin, man, and stylized first person.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I will say it's like probably a little bit more linear than a Hitman. Like,
sure, yeah.
Hitmans are usually like kind of a simulation kind of thing where it's like figure out what to do in here, whereas this one's like you really just got to get past this guy.
Just do the thing.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that the game is like set in I don't know if they ever say a year specifically, but it's presumably the 60s. Like the story surrounds like the assassination of what I think is kind of like a JFK character.
Yeah, the president.
It's the president at the time, and then his brother starts running for office. So like, okay.
Very JFK-ish.
Yeah, exactly. You play as this dude who's initially just referred to as 13 because of the 13 tattoo on his chest, the XIII. And you have amnesia. You don't remember like what happened to you.
Yeah.
You like essentially wake up on this beach, and this like lifeguard's like, hey, what the fuck is going on? You don't look so good. And then you like go back into her like lifeguard place, and then people immediately start shooting at you, like just unnamed people who you don't know. They shoot her like first, like they just like light the building up with gunfire, and then they start coming after you. But luckily for you, you are David Duchovny.
I was about to say you're played by David Duchovny.
Yeah, who's like, I think maybe literally phoning it in. Like it sounds like his voice.
Sure.
He was not necessarily
just recorded over the phone.
Yeah. Very lifeless and just sort of like, I was caught in my own trap. Just like it almost works because it's just like so weird and like odd that David Duchovny is in this video game. Adam West is also in this game, who does like a much more impressive job at doing voice acting.
He doesn't mess around.
No, he really doesn't.
With like these B cuts of media.
No. Also, Eve the Rapper plays like a very important like character in the game.
Wow.
So like the voice cast is weirdly stacked.
Well, it's based off a comic book, isn't it?
That's correct. Yeah. So it was I think it was Belgian comic that came out I think it started in the 80s of the same name. It's also named 13. And it's like the content is pretty similar. In the comic, it's about this character 13 who like wakes up without his memories. And throughout the game, it's like you're sort of unraveling this, what ends up being a shadowy organization that is trying to overthrow the current US government, which I guess gushing kind of fucking cool. Like I was absolutely unaware of the story of this game the first time I played it. Like like I don't know if it's just like my ability to like pay attention hard enough to video game stories was just not there at the time, or I just didn't have the context to understand like what the fuck does any of this mean. Like there's kind of some subtext that happens during the dialogue that I'm like,
weren't there for it.
I'm 12, dude. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
But like the concept is pretty good. I had texted Jazz a little bit about this, just being like, hey, I don't think I know very much about like spy stuff from like the 60s. And he had sent me like kind of a laundry list of like, there was a lot of pulp spy novels that were around at the time, which is, again, I presume anybody who is like probably older than us says like, yeah, duh. Because my understanding was that this was like everywhere for a while. Like obviously you've got like Bond and shit like that in the 60s was like huge. And I think a lot of like kind of pulp media took after that in the same way that like there's a lot of shitty zombie and sci-fi that came out in the last 10 to 20 years. It sounds like there was probably just like an obsession with the genre at the time. And so it's like, it makes sense why, maybe somebody who grew up with this stuff in the 60s is now in the 80s revisiting it in this like comic book form, and then probably somebody who read that comic in the 80s made a video game about it in the early 2000s. But yeah, I felt like the concept overall was pretty interesting, and like it eventually comes out that there's this organization of 20 people that are trying to overthrow the government, and you're really unclear who is in it. Just so deeply Kingdom Hearts, and man, I sure do love that. I really, really like that.
Organization 13.
Exactly. I think it's literally called Organization 20 or something like that. Like, yeah, it's a real treat. I loved that.
All right.
Where are you at with this video game? Where are you at with 13?
Where am I at?
Yeah.
I didn't play that much. Played a little bit. I remember. I think I rented it.
Yeah.
I remember I enjoyed the style. Right. I enjoyed how cartoony and like comic booky it was. Yeah. Right. Because
it really looked like a comic book.
They like interpose like panels, like comic book panels into the game itself, and that felt cool.
Pretty effective too.
Yeah,
it was able to tell a story in a way that you couldn't with just like straight up cutscenes.
100%. Yeah. I remember the gameplay was pretty solid too. Right. It's just solid kind of like stealth action gameplay. It doesn't reinvent the wheel or anything like that, but fun to kind of throw around knives and shit and hit people. And
I think there was an interesting distinction in the shooting in the game, because they oftentimes would gate you from like the mission progress around like you can't shoot anybody but the bad guys, and those guys are usually just like wearing a denim jacket or something like that.
Clearly he's bad. He's got a denim jacket.
Guy. Whereas like they would, if there was somebody who was presumably just like kind of caught in the crossfire, they would force you to like knock them out instead, which is like, I played a fair bit of this yesterday, and I was like, okay, like I don't feel as bad about this. Like it makes you feel like you're playing a character who has like a moral compass a little bit, and I kind of appreciated that after like
Pursuit Force,
Jesus, dude. And like a lot of other games where it's just like, yeah, just anybody's fair game. You can just go in there and shoot anybody. It's fine.
Nice.
Yeah. So like I could gush about this a lot. I was honestly a little bit surprised at how much I liked this game and playing it recently. I guess it's important to contextualize, like there was a lot of hype for this game at the time.
There definitely was. People were excited about anything that was cel shaded at this time. It felt
sort
like...
of. It seemed like there was like two camps, right? Like Wind Waker had come out, it was December 13th of 2002, and people were like really either like this looks great or like I can't believe Nintendo betrayed me like this. And so
they really were very upset about it, weren't they?
Yeah. There was definitely a camp of people who were like not into it. Again, lo and behold, it's funny given that it's aged so well. Like Wind Waker looks really good still, and this game looks really good still. I was like impressed. Like there are parts that look a little wonky, but like the cell shading does a lot to make it age very good. But I think the hype cycle around this, I think per usual, made people think that this game was going to be like kind of the next GoldenEye. It felt like it was kind of aiming for that. And it wasn't that. Like, to be clear, it was not GoldenEye 2. But like, I was really enjoying myself playing it yesterday. Like, I think, like you were saying, that the style of it is so enjoyable. Like, the visual design is just so fun. The way the cutscenes play out with, like you were saying, like the panels of like comic that are kind of flying in and out. The effects that they use on like the guns, like you can see somebody shooting and there's like the comic book text, like the rat-a-tat-a-tat that will show up.
Or like you'll hit someone and it says pow or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's just very stylized in a way that's I think charming and fun. I played that we talked about Black recently, the shooting game, the first person shooter from, was it the Xbox era? And like this game is just so much more enjoyable on the face of it. Like the shooting feels okay. Like it's a little loose, honestly. Like I don't know what you call this, but like when you're in a first person shooter game and there's like a zone where you might hit, I don't know what that's called, but
the reticle?
Not the reticle, not the reticle, but like you have your reticle in the middle and there's like an area, like a square outside of it, where it's like if you're shooting somebody in this kind of area, it's going to hit anywhere in here. Like Counter-Strike does this when you're shooting and you have like enough like blowback where it starts getting more inaccurate as you're shooting. It's got a similar sort of thing here, but point being, it's like it feels pretty loose to shoot in this game. Like you kind of have to really like kind of hammer on somebody, whereas I know in other games like it's much more satisfying to be more accurate and shit. But regardless, like I think the guns that they give you, the kind of like level design, like we were saying in Red Steel, the level design is weirdly good. Like it's a good time, and like it kind of just leads you from one thing to the next. And I was like just having a good time. Like, okay, this is the bank level where I gotta escape the bank, and that's fun. This is the level where I'm infiltrating some mountain base, and that's cool too, because like I can kind of just lay waste to the bad guys, and that's fun.
Feels good.
Yeah. Also, I know we mention this every time.
The music, David.
Somebody was having a good time making the music in here. So the music itself is like very fun in 60s and like has a lot of funk to it. The drummer in whatever recording they did was like absolutely crushing it in every session they had. Let me see if I can skip over to a part where there's drums.
His mentor was J. Jonah Jameson.
I think so, man. It was something else. Nothing but just like nasty fills in here.
I feel that.
I'm just going so hard on the snare. It's pretty good. I was listening to it during the game. I was like, whoever was hired for the drums was not being paid enough.
Yes, huh?
Also, like kind of impressive part is that they, for each one of these sections in the game, they recorded 2 like takes where one of them is where you're not in combat and one of them is when you're in combat, and they switch back and forth between them depending on like what's going on in the game. And like it's impressive whenever it happens. It like really like ups the energy pretty quick.
Sure.
But just like good funky spy music. Like they kind of nailed it. Yeah.
If you're gonna go for this vibe visually, you got to nail the music too. They did a good job of that. Everything else is just like a computer program, and the only real one is just the drummer that they brought in.
Even if they programmed it, I would be impressed. Going so hard back there.
Yeah. Like
the carrying a beat is not the important part for this drummer.
He's carrying the whole vibe. Yeah.
I love it. It's so good. But yeah, I thought like they did just an incredible job like communicating the vibe of the whole thing in the music. So yeah, fucking loved it.
No, they did a great job of making a vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe the shooting wasn't quite as good or on par with their vibe making, but once again, the atmosphere reigns supreme on video game Podtimism.
Do you remember being disappointed by this game?
I mean, somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember wanting just a little bit more of a meaty, like, actual gameplay experience. I remember thinking when I was younger that it was a lot of style and not a lot of substance.
Which I think is fair.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment, but
yeah,
I don't think that would now necessarily take away from my enjoyment of it just because it was a hyped up game.
Yeah, I think that like this feels like an indie game to me now, where like I'm more willing to put up with parts of the game that I'm like, they made a compromise here. And I think this is one of them where it seems like they maybe compromised like just how tight the shooting should feel. And that maybe that I might be totally fucking off base. Like they easily could have been like, this is exactly how it should feel.
Yeah.
But I think to my own experience, I didn't love the way that ended up feeling, especially the direction that shooters would go, where it's a much more like tight and frantic sort of experience where accuracy is a really important part of the shooting, whereas this one's a lot looser. You're kind of just supposed to be spraying bullets at people,
which doesn't feel necessarily like cool spy where you're just spraying bullets.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, it doesn't exactly serve the like I'm this slick and quiet almost.
Yeah, James Bond doesn't spew bullets,
or at least
it's exacting.
Not Daniel Craig at least.
Sure.
Pierce Brosnan maybe, but
he would get a little loose sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think it is probably just a change in taste. I would be very interested in if this game came out today, like what the reaction would be. There was a remake that came out late last year of this game, and I heard it did not look particularly phenomenal.
There's a remake of 13?
Yeah,
like an official remake?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it was published by Ubisoft, but it was like a similar team from the original one, but it was like mechanically very buggy and also didn't. It wasn't as cell shaded as the first
39% on Metacritic.
Yeah, I think it was like functionally not working very well.
Why would you get rid of the cell shading?
I know, that's like
that was its whole thing.
Yeah. So anyway,
29 out of 100 for PC. Yikes-a-roni.
I think it was like genuinely kind of broken at launch.
Only one review score. Hardcore Gamer, 1.5 out of 5.
So anyway, I would be interested to see like what would happen if this game was, put out, a different context maybe, or it hadn't been put out before, what the response would be, just because like I feel like it's doing so much with the visual style and so much in communicating more about sort of the vibe that it's putting forth rather than, does the shooting feel good? I feel like so much of the early 2000s was first person shooter conversations were dominated by does the shooting feel good? Everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It was great when they had another story, but oftentimes like that didn't matter. And so I think just like the global gaming palette has shifted a little bit to this, where this might be more enjoyable, and it certainly was for me. I had like a really good time playing through it.
No, yeah, it is. It's half game, half experience, and that's kind of where I think indie games thrive.
Yeah,
either that or just like pure mechanics.
Yeah, for sure. Like you don't really need the story as much. I agree that like I think compromises are easier to sort of like deal with now. I think because just like every studio was trying to achieve that AAA experience for so long, like every one of them was like, we want to be the next big game, versus like, we have 2 people that work at our studio and we're trying to be a very good game at what we're trying to do, but like,
we have a cool idea,
but it's going to be like 6 hours, a short little game.
Yeah.
Where 13 is fucking long. This game is huge.
Really?
I was playing through it yesterday, and I think I got to like level 5 or 6. I believe there are 34 levels in this video.
34.
There are a lot of levels.
That's so many levels.
It's too many. Like you don't need that many. But again, I think like so much of the conversation was around like, is this game worth your dollars? And like lengthwise, probably. But yeah, I don't know. I find it interesting to look at the metrics that people were using to judge a game well back then. I think it's probably better at this point. Games like this would find a better home, and that's not to say like I was in my reading about this online, like there's a lot of people who really like this game, who think it's like just like the best shit ever. And like if all you want is a cool spy game, like
look no further.
Fucking yeah, like the vibe is just right fucking there. It looks really cool. Like maybe mechanically it's not a Hitman where like feels great to be an assassin, but they really put you in the world, and they have like these, maybe not well voice acted, but pretty strong characters that are like interesting. You kind of want to unravel the web of lies.
The web of lies.
So yeah, I thought 13 fucking ripped in hindsight. I was glad to be proven a little bit wrong in my previous opinion about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You were surprised. I love it when you're surprised on this.
Me too.
This segment.
Me too. It's a nice treat.
Oh, so tasty.
Do you have any other thoughts about 13?
Nope.
Great.
Good.
David, we're on Twitter.
Are we?
Yes, we are. We're on Twitter if you would like to interact with us there. We're at Podtimism on that place. Let's see. What else? If you are just dying to help the show, you're just like, please, I would love to spread the Podtimism word. There's two things you can do for us. One, either review it on your podcast outlet of choice, which I suspect only Apple Podcasts lets you do. But yeah, do that if you would like to. Be honest. Tell the people what your experience has been. Or you can show it to a friend and say, hey, I like this video game podcast. And they can say whatever, probably okay. And then you can send them a link or something. Anchor.fm/Podtimism, I think, is where you can get a lot of our cool shit.
Anchor.fm/Podtimism, is that what you said?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that is it. That's our URL to get to like our feed. It's got all the stuff there. Or you can just, listen to podcasts wherever you fucking want to listen to it. That's also totally cool. Also, the final bit of information. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We love having you here with us today. You really have made our day.
You're getting awfully close again.
I know. Huh? We will not do the Mission Avenue cult song that we would sing for every person who entered the building.
Sure did do that.
We sure did do that. We will instead just leave you with thanks. We appreciate your ear minutes being spent with us this week. We love making the show, and we love you being here to listen to it. So thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
David, do you have any birthday wisdom?
Birthday wisdom.
Birthday wisdom.
Not just video game wisdom, but birthday wisdom.
Birthday wisdom.
Well, I probably do, kicking around the old noggin. But let me try to suss this out a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't let aging take away your zest for life.
Ooh.
Nothing says that when you get older you have to be less fun or less happy or do things that you like to do less. You can do all of those things still. And you can still be an old fart.
Yes, you don't have to be miserable and old. Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Those are not the same thing. Yeah. Maybe that's just some bad dad boomer
dads.
Boomer dads.
We're just
showing us
out.
Just not a good way to live sometimes.
No.
So be the change you want to be. Have fun. Keep playing games. Go out and have a beer and go to a dance party with your friends. Maybe you'll blow your knees out, but it'll be fun as shit. Just go do it. It's good for you.
It's good for you.
It's good for you.
And you can still be like a regular, normal person. You don't have to be like one of those weird dads.
You can wake up. You don't gotta be a weird dad. You can just wake up the next day and do all your regular dad stuff.
I don't know why we've interchangeably started using dad with 30-year-old, but I guess that's the vibe. That's kind of what's going on here. Neither of us are fathers, but
I'm your daddy now, aren't I?
Okay, all right. That's an interesting shift in the gaming wisdom. It's a different sort of tone.
I'm just trying to have fun over here, Chase.
Yeah, I'm shutting you down.
Trying to have fun.
Don't tell me not to age. Don't tell me what I can't do.
Was that Lost?
Don't turn into John Locke from Lost. He seemed pretty bummed out about being old.
Talk about boomers.
Talk about boomers.
I'm glad you got that reference real quick.
Yeah. No, I watched Lost. It was a bummer.
I watched Lost. It sucked, but I watched it.
Not pessimistic about Lost. I apologize to JJ. Sorry, dude.
I mean, it was provocative, but that's all it was.
Literally, it did get the people going, but there wasn't a lot of oomph behind that.
There was nothing
pump.
else. It was just mystery. That's all it was. Mystery, the show that gets haphazardly resolved at the end.
So anyway, next week, maybe on Video Game Podtimism, we'll both eat our heads. Mystery?
Does that happen on Lost?
No, I'm trying to build some mystique. Oh. What's the most mysterious thing you can think of to tantalize people for next week?
Next week on the pod, we're going to talk to Chavid and Dace from the Video Game Grumpy Boys podcast. Our alternate reality selves from a parallel dimension.
I don't. You know what? I don't care for those guys.
You don't like Dace?
Dudes at all.
You don't like Chavid?
Dace is weird, man. I do not like Dace. Chavid I'm all right with, but Dace is like I just don't get his whole vibe.
You're not vibing with Dace?
No, he's just like telling me about all these old games that he doesn't like.
He's trying to get you to
Real
invest in his
nasty boy.
cryptocurrency.
Yeah, DaceCoin sucks, dude. I do not want to invest in fucking DaceCoin. It's worth nothing.
All it is just Dace's face on a coin. That's it. There's nothing else to it.
He bought a bunch of pogs and just put stickers of his head on it and called it DaceCoin. That's not how this works, dude. There's only one of them in the world.
There's only one DaceCoin. How much are you willing to pay for it?
Well, goodbye.